Yo, what it do, YouTube? It is your boy, Culture Shocker. We are back with another video. And today, today we're going to talk about one of those favorite positions Colts fans love to discuss week in and week out. It's not just the secondary, but it's the cornerbacks. And not just the cornerbacks in general, the young cornerbacks and the ones I'm going to give the most praise to so far that showed up this season and is doing their thing. The first corner I want to give praise to is Rock Ya-Sin. Rock Ya-Sin is arguably the best corner on the Colts roster besides Kenny Moore, which is the nickel corner. We all know how good Kenny Moore is and what he does. Yada, 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 we get that. But when it comes to man coverage and going up against these receivers that's on the outside and all these other positions on the field that's not in the nickel position or pretty much the middle of the field, Rock Ya-Sin is got to be that guy. Rock Ya-Sin has emerged on the scene and had a way better season than he did last year. This season, I feel like he took a huge step up, and he's way more disciplined than which we hoped he would be going into the season. A lot of people, doubted Rock Ya-Sin and how he would get better and all these good things. I see him in the comment section every day. Last year, every single comment section, we seen the slander of Rock Ya-Sin and how he wasn't going to get better. How we need to go get another corner. I get it. Getting a veteran presence or a better corner that isn't the guys that's on the roster would be best for the roster. But Ballard stated plenty of times of how he wanted to stay young and build throughout the draft and keep the team together. So that means you have to put faith in these young players that we have on the roster. Bobby Okereke, we didn't know when he was going to catch an interception this season. He finally got one against the Jets, which is a good thing because we know how good he is on the ball hawking ability. He just happened to be at the right spot at the right time. But Rock Ya-Sin, like I said, has taken a huge step up, and he's going to get better and better by the year because we know the corner is probably one of the toughest positions on the field. We know how tough it is to play an edge rusher. We know how tough it is to play quarterback as a rookie. Wide receivers, they're just blessed with abilities. We're not saying it's easy, but cornerback, especially being young, has to be one of the toughest positions in the NFL. Flat out, period. We know every position is, difficult. We know that. But as a young corner, especially for a guy like Rock Ya-Sin who was drafted late, I think this is probably one of the best seasons he's had so far this year, not if the best. He's definitely taken a huge step up. Shout out to James Rowe and all the coaching on the staff. And shout out to him just putting in that work. Kenny Moore in the offseason. If you guys are watching my videos in the offseason, he praised Rock Ya-Sin's effort to try to get better because he stated he knows what's at stake this year. This is a big year for him. So I feel like if he would have had another bad season, he probably would have been out the door. But Rock Ya-Sin stepped on the scene. He's way more disciplined, getting matched up against the receivers, not going for the big play. If he gets beat or not, he just doesn't go for those big old flags. Last year, it was so many flags by Rock Ya-Sin, just getting beat and trying to hold on to that wide receiver because he felt like he couldn't get there. This year, he's taken a huge leap. And we're going to need that leap because we got a lot of tough teams and a lot of good wide receivers coming up on this schedule, including next week. We're going to have to see how these young guys are going to go. Now, look, if they get cooked, just think, they're young. They're not elite yet. So if they get beat up or anything of that nature, it's bound to happen. But the fact that that they went out there and shown you some type of potential, just look at what we've been dealing with Xavier Rose. Xavier Rose has had a horrible season. A horrible season. Like I said, Rock Ya-Sin has had a way better year than Xavier Rose. So I will put him over him. Another guy that stepped on the scene, and he had a big week last week, Isaiah Rodgers, had a very good game. And you guys know how much we all love Isaiah Rodgers. We've been praising and craving for him to see the field. We've been wanting him to be on the field after that playoff game in Buffalo. We was like, okay, this guy, he has potential. He's fast enough to stay up with receivers, and he can go play the ball. Yeah, he's good on special teams, but we're going to need him at corner. Just as simple as that. He's probably one of the fastest corner he probably is the fastest corner on the roster. So he's out there, and he can fly around. He can swat the football. Man coverage, I don't know. Not really great in that yet, but I think he's probably, he's rising as well. As long as he gets more burn. And just to be honest, if Xavier Rose ever comes back, I would not want to take Rodgers out and put Rhodes back in where he was at. I'm willing to keep Isaiah Rodgers in Xavier Rhodes' spot and maybe bump Xavier Rose down. Maybe he go guard a third or fourth string corner. Wide receiver. Maybe he go guard a third or fourth string wide receiver. He'll probably have a better chance at that. But he's been getting cooked a lot this season. And this is no knock on Xavier Rose because he struggled in his last year in Minnesota. He came to Indianapolis his first year, and he's shown that he still has it. This year just is unfortunate. He's been battling injuries and all these things. It's unfortunate. It's been an unfortunate year, but I think if you give the young guys that shot, that Xavier Rhodes of his position, and you bump him down a little bit, I think we might see a way better corner room going into the rest of the season than we're seeing so far. And that's just my honest opinion. Another thing to think about for the cornerbacks, when we're going up against these top teams, you also have to remember that the secondary help that they have is not what they should have. Khari Willis and Julian Blackmon was the safeties that we wanted in the backfield for these corners. I feel like that backside help would help them tremendously. But the fact that Blackman's out, Willis is, he's out, banged up as well. We're out there with Sendejo and George Odom. No knock on George Odom. But, we out there with Sendejo, George Odom, Josh Jones. It's like, it's not the safety room we really want. So, the corners are pretty much out there on an island on a week-to-week basis. Sendejo had a big hit last week, but, that's not really saying anything when it comes to man coverage or zone coverage when you got to protect the deep backfield when the corners get beat. Like, if the corners get beat, who's going to cover over the top? Simple as that. Like, we don't have the safeties we want right now. Maybe we might draft one. Maybe we might draft a safety. Maybe we might draft another corner. The goal is to stay young in Indianapolis. So, we're probably one of the youngest rosters in the NFL still. So, like I said, we still have a promising future, and the corners shown their potential this year of what they can really do when we have a solid team all together. The injury bug is still in Indianapolis. We're still not healthy, so this team isn't what we want it to be. The offensive line is still suspect. Eric Fisher is only good for run blocking. We need a pass blocking left tackle. Big Mark at right guard. The flags that he get holding back Jonathan Taylor on his big plays. All these things, when you go into the look of it, it's just, Carson Wentz his first season. He's still trying to figure it out. All these things, when you look at the Colts roster, is that it shows you that it's still young. This season is showing basically where the Colts are being positioned at going into the future. That a lot of players are showing their flashes of abilities this season. Kyler Granson showing his flashes. Big Mo, when you feed him the ball, he's showing it. Michael Pittman Jr., when you lob him up the ball, he's going to go catch it. He's shown it. All these players are showing abilities moving forward into the future. So if we ever have a chance to make the playoffs with this roster this season, going into the future, we're going to have a very big future for the Indianapolis Colts. Simple as that. If we don't make the playoffs this year, it will not be a bad year because this was just a tryout year. Basically, simple as that. It's a tryout year. We don't have a franchise quarterback yet. So we're not pretty much set up for contention. Pretty much this is not. This is just a tested out season in my eyes as a Colts fan. So if we don't make the playoffs, look at the schedule. Look what we had to go through all year. A suspect offensive line, secondaries banged up. Just look at the big picture at the end of the day. But if we make the playoffs, this has been a really good year if we make the playoffs, even the wild card. Just look at that. So you got to look at the bigger picture as a Colts fan, especially when you have rising stars or rising talent in the corner room like Isaiah Rodgers and Rock Ya-Sin, which I like to call Lock Ya-Sin at the moment. All credit. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section about the cornerback room. Let me know about Xavier Rose. Let me know about Rock Ya-Sin. Let me know about Isaiah Rodgers. All these things in the comment section below. Until next time, this is Marcus, and you've been Culture Shock.